Welcome to Root and Rewire, a grounded, mystical space for awakening, remembering, and becoming. I'm Kayla, and here we explore the shifts, the stories, and the synchronicities that reshape us from the inside out, along with the mystical, the unseen, and the magic that's woven into everyday life. Take a deep breath, soften into yourself, and let's begin. Hello. Welcome back to another episode. I'm Kayla. I'm very grateful that you're here in this space with me today or whenever you're listening, wherever you're listening. I've been very activated when coming to these episodes, and last night was one of the strongest activations that I had. And I was so excited, so ready that I wanted to just jump out of my bed and record, but it was late and I love my sleep. So I was like, no, let's let this simmer. Let's let it simmer, let it sit, and really come into it in a more grounded space today and have my guides here, my higher self here, source here to help me channel messages that feel as if you need to receive or want to receive or open to receive. So this is a sacred space. A lot of people say, take what resonates. I'm going to say that, take what resonates. And these episodes are really supposed to serve as my experience and what I've been learning from my own research and culminating from my life. So anything that feels strong or activating to you, I urge you to explore on your own. See what messages you get, see what resonates more with you and what speaks to you, because we're all having our own experiences. We all have our own reflections and we all have our own opinions. But I really wanted to start today's episode off with a story. And so a few days ago, I was driving and I was listening to a podcast and I was thinking a lot about polarity, harmony, balance, the usual. And I was stopped at a stoplight. I looked down at my dashboard and the miles in my car, the numbers read to be 11011. And I saw this set of numbers and it sparked some curiosity in me. And I felt very activated in my body. I continued driving. The light turned green. I was driving. And I looked over to see what time it was. And it was 1:10. 110. And I am a sucker for synchronicities. I love symbolism, and anytime I see angel numbers or anything that just sticks out, I try to think about what is it that I'm doing? What are the themes in my life? What am I thinking of? To see if I can gain access into what the synchronous message is for me in the moment. And if we break down the numbers, 110, one is often in numerology to be new beginnings, initiations. When paired with another one, we can see it as a mirror, right? One reflecting back, me reflecting back to myself. But also 11 can often be seen as a portal, right? 1111, portal, and then followed by the 0, meaning or representing the void, which in Hinduism or in Tantra the zero, the void, is seen as deeply fertile. And I was thinking about this number, obviously representing to where I'm at in my journey, what this message could be for me. And when I added the numbers up, 1 + 1 + 0 equals 2. What is 2, guys? 2 is harmony. 2 is union. It's balance. And I understood now why it felt so potent and so activating in my body. Because this is exactly what we've been expanding on. This has been the theme in my life, right? 2 is not separation. 2 is polarity. 2 is the sacred dance between the masculine and the feminine energies that exist within every single one of us. And this realization, this message felt like the perfect continuation of what I've been moving through very personally over the last year, the last few months, an initiation into understanding what it truly means to bring those two energies back into harmony within myself. So, as you guys know, if you've been tuning into my last few episodes, I ended a relationship of a few years at the end of January 30th, 31st. And the end of this relationship was truly an awakening point for me. We are in the year of the fire horse, right? We just ended the year of the snake, representing anything false moving away, right? The shedding of the skin. And now we're moving into more action, into more fire. And this was true for me in my life, just seeing what has fallen away, that being the biggest thing I was holding on to, my relationship. And it's serving as a way for me to come back to myself and really think about, what is it that I'm calling in? Why did this fall away? What is meant for me in this time of singledom? And as I was feeling through my grief, feeling through the grief of not only my relationship, but just the grief of everything going on in the collective conscious and the planet and the world, and really feeling the grief of my ancestors and my lineage and things just really moving through my body, I started to focus on what was quiet. As more began to move away, as more began to fall away, as more emotions began to leave my body, as I became more open and in tune, I was able to tap into the subtlety, that thing that I've been feeling for a long time. I just hadn't had the opportunity to allow myself to sink into. And for me, that was the feminine energy, the feminine, connecting to my feminine. And through connecting more into my feminine, my sensuality, my creativity, my flow, I realized how I had been living primarily in my masculine energy. And not even just the masculine, but also in my shadow masculine energies. And we can break this down. Masculine survival traits, typically, especially the way that I was living them, is based around structure, independence, fixing problems, controlling outcomes, logic more over emotion. And the shadow tendencies of the masculine show up as hyper-independence, emotional suppression, needing to solve everything, difficulty receiving support. And when we think about our own masculine, feminine energies, or even just the masculine in general, it's not wrong, right? It's not bad, quote unquote. It, to me, just became my protective way of living. It became my armor. And my breakup cracked that armor open. And what began awakening and moving through me was this emergence of my feminine, the feminine energy, right? And the feminine we can describe as, intuition, sensual movement, emotional attunement, softness, presence, body awareness. And the ways that I was really tapping into my feminine energies came through me working on somatic emotional releasing, right? So this is a really big aspect of many different healing modalities, being the somatic experience, really being in your body and allowing yourself to process emotions, and even like little T trauma, big T trauma with licensed professionals through your body, because that is where we hold energy. That's where we hold emotion. And that's where trapped emotion, trapped energy gets stored, is in your body. So, somatic emotional releasing, really reconnecting to my body. And that meant exploring my body in ways that I had shut myself off to before, right? And this came through the sensuality and the sexuality, right? Taking more classes that allowed me to express myself through my body, playing more music and dancing in the mornings, right? Allowing myself to express in movements that I probably would not do in a club, girl, but would allow myself to do in the presence of my own self. And, the feminine started to emerge more too as I moved slower and began listening more inwardly. And, what healing really is and what it connects you more to, right? But where healing really comes from, it's not about becoming something new, right? We don't heal to become something else. Maybe our identity shifts as we let go of more, but healing is really about remembering. It's about letting go of what is false. A lot of people think of healing to be something glorious, right? Sexy, love and light and all these things. No. Healing is really about journeying through yourself and processing things that you were too afraid to face before, but maybe you have the courage to do now. And I feel like this is what's going on around the planet. This is why I feel a lot of people are beginning to emerge and awaken to their own energies, because more people are awakening to themselves, realizing what isn't for me. This is not for me. Instead of just thinking this is not how I want to be, I want to be more this, more this, more this. People have really begun tapping into this. And I've learned that the feminine has always been portrayed as a weakness, right? Tapping into your feminine has always been seen as a weakness. But the feminine is just awareness through the body. It is the intelligence of sensation and intuition and emotional depths. And I love learning about ancient civilizations. I love learning about the knowledge of ancient life, because before us, way before us, they were deeply in tune. And there's been a lot of research done on the different civilizations and the mythology and the things that came from life before us. And these concepts that we've been talking about is nothing new. Humanity has understood this polarity for thousands and thousands of years. And in a podcast that I was listening to, it was so interesting because it was a mathematician, and he was doing research in Egypt, and he found that one of the pyramids, if mathematically broken down and understood, represents a perfect square. And sacred geometry, this is known as the masculine. The other pyramid represented or showed to be a perfect circle, which represents in sacred geometry the feminine. The central pyramid, when broken down mathematically, was representing a balance between the two. So ancient culture encoded cosmic balance into architecture and mathematics. How freaking interesting is that? So civilizations weren't separating masculine and feminine. They were really tuned in to the understanding of the harmonization between the masculine and the feminine. And I know we've talked about some philosophical traditions in the last episode, especially. We more focused on the Hindu philosophy. But if we look into more ancient principles here, in Hindu philosophy, we have Shiva and Shakti. In their mythology, Shiva was a representation of the masculine consciousness. Shakti was a representation of the feminine life force. Shiva represented stillness and awareness, represented witnessing and direction, and Shakti was the movement inside of it. Shakti represented creativity, sensation, life force energy. And the ancient teaching really says that Shiva without Shakti is inert. The masculine without the feminine is inert. The feminine without the masculine, Shakti without Shiva, is chaotic. Consciousness without energy does nothing. And energy without awareness has no direction. So together they create life itself. If we look at the Taoist philosophy, we have yin and yang, right? Yin, the feminine, yang, the masculine. But they are not opposites. They are interdependent forces. So each contains the seed of the other. Examples of this would be like night and day, or inhale and exhale, stillness and movement. Balance does not mean that we choose and stick to one side. Balance really is all about allowing both energies to move in rhythm together. And we can look at this in another way. We think of alchemy and mysticism, the sacred marriage, the alchemical idea of the inner king and the inner queen, the feminine and the masculine. The union in alchemy and mysticism, the sacred marriage is what it's called. The union is the sacred marriage. They believed that when these energies integrated inside a person, it produced a sense of wholeness and creativity and emotional maturity and spiritual awareness. They symbolized that this transformation was turning lead into gold. But really, the real gold was the inner union. So we can see how this shows up in different ancient philosophies. Now, if we are thinking about, because I've thought about this, I know I'm not the only one drawn to this idea of the sacred marriage, the divine union. And it was sparked through me through first understanding, what do I want? When I thought about my last relationship, I told myself, I'm only calling in my divine union. I will not settle for anything less. But in order to call in what we want, we have to hold that. We have to be that now, because we are that now. So if you want a specific job, a specific career, then the idea is to manifest that, to call that in. We feel the feeling of being in that right now, because it is happening right now. Same thing for you call in a perfect relationship. You want the perfect relationship. What does that feel like? This was the same thing for me. I saw what I wanted. I knew what I wanted. However, in order to call that in, I need to be that. And that is what really started me on this awakening journey. And I feel as if this is happening at a collective level all across the world. More people today are feeling drawn to divine feminine work, or even just sacred balance work, somatic healing, herbal medicine, conscious relationships, emotional processing, natural living. And we could say this could be because modern society, the Western world, has been heavily masculine dominant. And it's been this way for a long time. We were expected to be productive, to be logical, to be constantly doing. And because of that, we were disconnected from the body. We were disconnected from the nature, from our actual nature. But now I feel like as we move through the year of the snake and we began to release what wasn't serving, that wasn't serving. Health issues and all these things that began popping up from being heavily in our masculine, being out of balance, we began to feel more drawn to what could bring us back in to balance. The yin and the yang. And for a lot of us, it began rediscovering the feminine qualities, right? That consisted of rest and intuition, embodiment, emotional depth, connection to nature. And just like we've spoken about before, masculine and feminine isn't male and female. We all hold both energies in our body. However, depending on our upbringing and the way of the world, we can become more in one energy than the other, causing that out of balance. And so I know I'm not inventing these concepts, obviously, but I feel as if I'm remembering them. Things are really starting to make sense. So, understanding the inner union. The work is not about rejecting masculinity and performing femininity or finding someone to complete us. It's about integrating both energies inside of ourselves. And a large part in doing my healing has been understanding my shadow masculine that I've been living from and integrating it, talking to the parts of me that hold these energies, the part of me that shows up as hyper independent, the part of me that shows up as not wanting to be too vulnerable, the part of me that shows up as controlling, talking to those parts of me. Where did you come from? When did we start feeling this way? What are you feeling? Really tapping into reparenting myself, telling myself, thank you. Thank you so much for protecting me for this long. Thank you for trying to warn me and protect me, but I'm in the driver's seat now. As scary as it may be, it's time for you to rest. And it's time to let me take care of you. Healthy masculine energy, when in balance, it gives direction, it gives protection, it gives structure, groundedness, boundaries, which has been, don't even get me started on boundaries, okay? The healthy feminine energy gives creativity, intuition, emotional intelligence, sensual life force, connection. And together they create harmony. So if you could see my life right now, if you could see my life right now, you'd be like, girl, what is going on here? I'm like, what? What is this? What is this? It's like a mosh posh of different healing modalities and integration work that I'm doing. It, for me, it looks a lot like stepping away from excessive media. I haven't watched TV in a while, and I realized how addicted I actually was to TV, so that became an addiction to have to work through. But disconnecting myself from excessive media, focusing a lot on the present moment. So this really calls being present with myself. I'm eating dinner in stillness and silence. Noticing what's coming up. What are the sensations? What's ruminating through my mind? When I'm walking my dogs, especially when I'm in the present moment, I can feel anger come up. I can feel control, that part of me wanting to take over. So it gives me an excellent time to just stop, which is also difficult, and talk to that part of me. Seeing how I can bring myself back into balance. Also, I'm focusing a lot more on connecting with my community, so the people that I love that are closest to me. I've been heavily honoring my rest. I get a lot of sleep at night. But even just in between, I feel like because I'm letting go of so much, I'm also very tired, very exhausted. I've been doing a lot of somatic releasing. So just being still in my body, being quiet, calling myself into meditation, and then just allowing whatever sensations that want to move, however my body wants to move, is how I'm moving. I've been really exploring sensual embodiment, right? So discovering different parts of myself in my body, talking to these parts of myself in my body, bringing love to these parts of myself in my body. And this has caused me to be a lot more drawn to my authentic voice and herbs, plant wisdom, slower living. So however you feel called. In the beginning, I used to think that healing needed to look a certain way. Like, can I really say that I'm healing if I don't go to retreats? Can I really say that I'm healing unless I buy this expensive course from the spiritual teacher that I trust? For me, I really had to sit with that. And then just remember that my body holds the wisdom. My intuition holds the wisdom. However it wants to express, however it wants to move, whatever it wants to do, I honor. And these are the practices that have really been called to me. Now, I do believe that if you have what we call big T trauma, what they call big T trauma, that it's really important to do this kind of healing with a licensed professional, to be in a space that you truly feel is safe with someone else to guide you. However, if you're just experiencing little T trauma or really just diving into parts work or things like that, then you absolutely feel as if you can do this with yourself or even in the presence of someone in your community that you really, really trust. But I believe that when people reach inner harmony, there are some beautiful side effects. Do you want to hear the side effects? Let me give you some side effects. One can be healthier relationships, less codependency, deeper self-trust, emotional maturity, stronger intuition, magnetic presence. Also, I believe we all have these internal gifts. Think about clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, right? All the clairs. I believe that we all are this. Once you're able to bring yourself into balance, into harmony, and allow your true essence to express, I do feel as if this is when your gifts start to come back online. For me, my intuition has gotten louder and louder and louder to the point where I don't even need to question it anymore. Now, still working on it, but the connection to my intuition is so strong. And for me, that's something that I've always been deeply drawn to, is my intuition. How do I grow my intuition? How do I know it's there? It's there. It's there. So those are some common side effects. And, when you stop searching for others to complete you, when you stop looking at yourself as a victim, you begin attracting people who meet you in wholeness. The more you begin to realize that which is in your outer right now is a representation of your inner. You are creating your life. You are the main character of your life. So returning back to how we started, the number 110. I believe synchronicities to be messages, reminders. And for me, it showed me that something new isn't happening, but that something ancient is inside of me is waking up again. And we all know that the journey of awakening isn't about becoming something new, but instead remembering the harmony that has always existed within us. Everyone's waking up. If you're listening to this episode, hello, you are woken. You're being pushed to something. You're being guided to something. There's something that wants you to listen. There's something ready to sprout, to come online. And this is why I believed humanity to be incredible. Because we are so powerful. The body itself is so powerful. And when we can begin to tap and tune into our powers, the more we realize who we really are. Isn't that the whole point? To allow yourself to be in harmony and express the way your soul is being called to express. Isn't that the point? Don't you see yourself as someone who is living in balance in your life and the most enriching relationships, doing the most enriching practices? Being in control of your own life. So, with this, I'm super grateful that you guys tuned in. As always, please feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what resonated. Let me know what you want to hear more about. Let me know what you're interested in. Let me know what you want to share, what you want to teach me. I'm so grateful, and I'm so excited to come back next week. We'll see. We'll see what the episode will be. I don't know. I don't know yet, but we will see. Thank you guys so, so much, and I'll see you in the very next episode. Mwah. Thank you so much for your support and tuning in today. If this episode supported you and you would like to share, or if you're just looking for someone to connect with, you can find me on Instagram at Soil and Soul Sister. I hope to hear from you. I would love to hear from you. And until next time.